Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Kristen and you're watching All the Stories. Is that what my intro is? Hello and welcome back to my channel, All the Stories. Today we will be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. This is attempt number 2 to film this video. I don't know, my camera just stopped filming like 2 minutes into my last video and I didn't realize it till I was like maybe 10 minutes of talking. So I don't know, it just stopped. It did what it wanted to do. But whatever, now I gotta re-talk about the first 3 books, but that's okay. It's okay. We're okay. We're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. So we're just gonna hop into the questions. Yeah. So the first question is your favorite book of 2020 so far. And if you saw my last video, you may be able to guess what my answer to this is, because it's The Rageful Dragons by Evan Winter, y'all. If you like fantasy, if you like high fantasy, kind of gory, gritty fantasy, you're gonna like it. This book is following our main character, Tao, who is a lesser, and the big broad categorizations are nobles and lessers, and then there are like subcategories of each, and Tao is not the lowest of the low, but pretty damn close to the lowest of the low. So our main character Tao is a lesser, but he is in the high common class of lessers, which, though it has the word high in it, isn't that high. It is like 2 steps from the bottom of the barrel. So his father is a weapons master and he is training a noble's son in the ways of the sword, because this is a very warlike society and this society is in perpetual war with this other people whose land they have kind of invaded, and they are always at war. So war is very important. Every able-bodied man has to become a warrior or become a slave. So, you know, those are your 2 options. You become a warrior or you become a servant. And most people choose warrior. But there are different levels to the warrior classes. I'm not getting into all that because it's complicated and this ain't the video for that. But Tao, and he's kind of friends with this noble his father is training, so they're going to the noble's testing time so he can test into the whichever army class he's going to be into. And at the training, Tao's father ends up being killed by one of the nobles, and Tao decides that he is not going to stand for it, and he decides he's going to become the best warrior that has ever been seen. He's going to become the best of the best, and then he's going to use his newfound strength to avenge his father. Well, there's other stuff that's in this. Like I said, this land is in perpetual war and there's an ongoing war going on, and Tao has to go to training at the lesser's military school. So yeah, it's a military school setting for most of the story, and there's like a competition aspect to it, but it's very good. Originally I gave it 4.5 stars because Tao is a little annoying at times, so be prepared for that. He's a little single-minded to the point of annoying about his vengeance, but still I can't stop thinking about it, and it was so good that I had to bump it up to 5 stars instead of 4.5 stars. So in short, read The Rage of Dragons. Question number 2 is, what is the best sequel you've read so far in 2020? And y'all, I was looking at the books that I read, and I have read like no sequels. The list of sequels I have read is like very small. So out of the few that I actually read, I ended up picking Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. This is, of course, the 3rd volume in the Heartstopper graphic novel series, and I really loved the whole series, and this one was no exception. This one actually did deal with some heavier topics than the other 2 dealt with, so I will say there's some trigger warnings in here for eating disorders, anxiety, homophobia. I think that was all. I haven't read this in a while, but I think those are the main ones. So if any of that is triggering to you, please be aware of that before you get into here. But I really did enjoy this. I thought it was a good continuation of the story, and I cannot wait for Volume 4, and I do know that it's fully released online, but I like waiting for the physical editions, so I will be waiting for Volume 4. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to. There are many many new releases that I haven't actually gotten to yet, but the one I'm going to choose for this one is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This is N.K. Jemison's most recent novel. It came out in March, and I've been really hyped for it, and I just still haven't gotten around to getting to it yet, so we're gonna get there hopefully before the end of the year. I don't really know what this is about, to be honest with you. I mean, I do, but I know like a vague picture of what this is about, in the sense that this is takes place in New York City, and the city has like physical people who embody the spirit of the city. Like, not like, oh, you embody the spirit of the city, like literally. I think it's 6 people that are physically linked to the city of New York City. That makes sense, right? And fight crime. I don't know. So these 6 people are kind of like the soul of the city, or have pieces of the city soul inside them, and fight evil. I don't. That's all I got. But I love N.K. Jemisin. I love her writing. I love her world she builds, and I can't wait because I feel like most of her other books are urban fantasy, or not urban, or high fantasy, and this one's more of an urban fantasy. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. So question number 4 is your most anticipated new release for the second half of the year, and I just raved about The Rage of Dragons. So of course, one of my most anticipated sequels or new releases for the second half of the year is the sequel to The Rage of Dragons, which is The Fires of Vengeance. Look at this cover. Look at it. It's beautiful. So I can't wait for that. I think this comes out November 10th. November-ish. It could be the 10th, whatever. The date will be here on the screen. So that's one of my most anticipated releases of the second half of the year. Another one is The Traitor Queen by Danielle Jensen. Super excited for that. Legendborn. Super excited. I feel like I'm missing so many others, but those are just the first ones that popped into my head. So question number 5 is your biggest disappointment for the year so far? And I have to go with The Shadows Between Them. Not between them. The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller. It's marketed as a villain love story, like between 2 kind of evil-ish characters, and I'm here for it. But I only ended up giving this 3 stars. It wasn't awful by any means. There were some people who did think it was awful. I didn't think it was awful. I did enjoy it, but it was just less than what I thought it was going to be. I just had higher expectations for it, and it kind of let me down, but it was still an okay story. So question number 6 is your biggest surprise for the year. My biggest surprise of the year would have to go to Radiance by Grace Dabin. This book, you guys, took me by surprise. I picked it up because I heard people talking about it, but I didn't think I was gonna love it like I did. This is hands down like my favorite. Like, it's kind of like Beauty and the Beast inspired, from what I'm gathering. I don't know if that was the intention, but it is like a Beauty and the Beast inspired type thing, except both Beauty and the Beast find each other repulsive. This is a story, it is a fantasy romance story about this girl who is human, and she is the niece, I believe, of the king of a kingdom, and she is put into a political marriage with a prince from another kingdom, and this neighboring kingdom is like, they're non-human. They have like gray skin and glowing yellow eyes, and they're nocturnal, and they have claws, and they're both find each other repulsive. The humans find the creatures. I can't remember what they call themselves. I'm gonna call them the creatures because I can't remember the name of the race of people, but they find them unattractive and gross, and they find the humans just as unattractive and gross as the humans find them. So it's really, and it's not even an enemies to lovers. They both have, from the start, have a mutual respect and kind of friendship between the two that just turns into love. And it's so good. Their relationship, friends to lovers. I am a hard enemies to lovers shipper, but they made me believe in friends to lovers. I was feeling it, and they were so perfect. Question number 7 is your favorite new author or a new to you author. I'm gonna say N.K. Jemisin because I read her books for the first time and it was amazing, breathtaking, beautiful, like I just said. And Also, it's just the way she wrote about everything was just lush and new and just it was just everything, you guys. Um, and how she wrote about the gods, how they were just they. I've never. There are tons and tons and tons of books that have gods and deities and magical beings in them, but I have never read a book that talked about them and made them in the way N.K. Jemisin does, and it was so new and original that I just loved it. And even though this book came out years ago, I haven't read anything that has been anything near what I read when reading her books. So a definite new favorite author is N.K. Jemisin. Another new favorite author would be Alyssa Cole. I started her Reluctant Royal series this month and enjoyed the first two, and I'm going to be starting the third one pretty soon. And I'm also really excited for some of her new books coming out this year. Those are some other new releases that I'm excited for that I forgot to mention earlier. The one of them is To Catch a King, To Catch a Queen, To Catch a, I think it's To Catch a Queen by N.K. Oops, by Alyssa Cole, and she has a thriller coming out that the name I can't think of, and I'm excited for that as well. So she is another new favorite author of mine. Question number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I tried not to repeat books in this, but no other book character just made me crush as hard as Naha in The 100,000 Kingdoms. He was just everything. He was the dark, broody god we all needed, and he was just a tortured little baby. And I enjoyed him. He would not like being called a tortured little baby, but he was just perfection. Question number 9 is what is your newest favorite character? And a character I really enjoyed reading about was Cordelia from Chain of Gold. I really enjoyed her as a character in this. She's probably my favorite Shadowhunter character overall now, and I can't wait for the rest of the series to come out. I can't wait for Chain of Iron next year. It was just so good. I'm not going to go into what this is about because I feel like most people know what Cassandra Clare books are about and Shadowhunters are, etc., etc. But this was so good, and I love Cordelia. Her determination, her in general was just an amazing, well-rounded character. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. I do not cry when reading books. I have never cried when reading a book. So I'm just gonna talk about the book that kind of got me closest to tears. I ain't gonna lie, I teared up a little tiny bit, like it just made me want to cry, but I didn't cry. But that was the ending of Crescent City. Light 'em up. That's all I gotta say. I ain't saying nothing else. Just the ending. It had me about to shed a little tear. But the book overall wasn't sad. It was just the ending was a little sad, and it got me a little emotional. So number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I'm going to mention the Reluctant Royal series again because Princess in Theory made me so happy. Another book that made me happy was Zinni, I believe is the name of it, by Rebecca Witherspoon. Both of those are romances featuring black authors featuring black characters, and I just love reading black romance. It just makes me happy seeing black people happy and reading books that are on about things other than black trauma. But those two in particular just made me really, really happy. So number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought or received this year, and I have to give that to A Song Below Water by Bethany Morrow. This cover is just the prettiest thing to me. I love the blue, the beautiful black queens on the front, and the yellow. It's just so pretty to me, and I love it so much. So that's definitely my favorite. I also have to give a shout out to Crescent City because I do love this cover, and I ended up getting the Waterstones version with these red sprayed edges. I think it's really pretty. And last but not least is number 13. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So all the books and all the sequels that I've talked about, like the Fires of Vengeance and The Traitor Queen, and all the sequels that I mentioned, How to Catch a Queen, and all those are books that I definitely need to get to by the end of the year. But some books that I already own that I need to get to by the end of the year would be being The Poppy War. This one I've actually already started. I still have my bookmark in it, so I'm like pretty far in it actually. I'm on page 220, and I put it down because I was not in a fantasy mood, but I was really loving it to that point. And I just put it down because I put it down at the beginning of this month because of all that was happening, and I just was in a bad mood, and I didn't want to like continue reading it when I wasn't feeling it, so I put it down. But I definitely need to pick this back up soon because I can't wait to see what happens. And another book that I already own that I need to get to before the end of the year would have to be The Kingdom of Gods by N.K. Jemisin, which is the third and final book in the Inheritance trilogy, which I've already mentioned multiple times in this review. But yes, this is the final book in the Inheritance trilogy, and I need to finish it because I loved the first two books so much. So, that is it for my mid-year book recap tag. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!